Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Mobius Y here once again, and here I am being a dirty little seal clubber. Yes, I was clubbing them seals with my fully decked out LOL tractor with a 10 skill crew because I was downloading update 1.9. I'm sure all of you have realized by now that update 1.9 went live today. So what the heck's this little video about? Well, as always with every new update, it's time to quash those stupid conspiracy theories that always pop up, especially about the Super Pershing getting nerfed. Quick spoiler alert, the Super Pershing did not get nerfed. So I'm going to go over the patch notes with you again for update 1.9. There were pretty much no changes to any of the tanks. No armor values were changed, no accuracy values, no penetration values, none of that shit. It was all strictly artistic, and I'll get to that in a little bit. If you would like to go through the patch notes more in depth, just go to the World of Tanks Xbox 360 Edition forums. They're under general discussion for if you are looking for them in English. So simply go there if you wish to go through them more in depth. They're right at the top of the list of threads posted here by Hector WG, and I always get a weird feeling when I read his name. Hector! Sorry about that, we're back. So here's the patch notes as posted by Hector. They open up and he just gets right to the point with these. So starting with some new features for 1.9. We're bringing you more customization options with the addition of the US state flag emblems. Fair enough. A new garage filter has been added for you to sort your war machines as you see fit. The favorite tank filter. New map variants. War not only changes the look of existing maps, but also the gameplay. So there's 4 different maps that have a war variant now. Siegfried Line, Fisherman's Bay, Engsk, and Airfield. Your garage now has additional information in its help screen, accessible by pressing right trigger from the garage. It talks about platoons, it talks about filters, and be on the lookout for the new loading screen and its spotlight on the minimap. So moving on to the more in-depth patch notes here, it goes more, the next little section here goes on about the new achievements. Those are pretty self-explanatory. You can look at those yourself on your Xbox. I'm not going to babble on about them. Take a look at them on your own time. So right after new achievements, we go over the new maps. There's 4 new war variant maps: Siegfried Line, Fisherman's Bay, Engsk, and Airfield. There is 1 new weather variant map, Wide Park Rain. And there's 2 new modes for Komarin now. Komarin will see assault and encounter along with standard battle now. So, some major changes. The sticky radial menu commands. There's less flicking and more sticking. This should make it easier to select radial commands on different pages. This is good for those of us that use radial commands fairly frequently, especially when we're solo or even if we're platooning. Updated muzzle flashes. 9 sizes up from 2. At the community's request, the map requirements for maximum overdrive and not in my house achievements have been removed. Before, those 2 achievements were required to be... What the heck were the 2 maps? I believe it was Highway and Siegfried. Don't quote me on that. But it was two very specific maps where you had to be on those maps to get those 2 achievements. One, I believe maximum overdrive is get 2 ram kills and survive, and not in my house is destroy a tank or a couple tanks that are capping your flag. So they used to be map specific, but those are removed now, which is nice, I guess. So from the major changes, the 1 actual vehicle change, at the community's request, there was a package added to the Russian T-43 Tier 7 medium tank. 85mm D5T 85BM. You can research and acquire the T-44 without having to upgrade the T-43's engine. I guess the main complaint was the final T-43 engine did not carry over to other tanks. I'm not exactly sure what the deal was with that, so don't ask. User interface. Communication radial loading screen updated to reflect recent changes. There was a loading screen on the left side when you load the map. It had out-of-date communication radial indicators, so they've updated that. Technical engineer medals now trigger the celebration in the garage when they are earned. If I remember right, technical engineer medals are for when you research all of the vehicles in a certain nation. Or it's when you destroy all of them. One of the 2. I don't really want to get into specifics. It doesn't matter. New tank notification for tanks with no battles played. Will not affect Tier 1 tanks. Crew priority now properly takes into account how many skills and perks they have to indicate which is the best choice. This is for when you're moving crews into other tanks. Performance increased when switching tanks. I'm not 100% sure what that means, whether it's an in-game thing or whether it's when you're changing tanks in your garage or moving crews in your tanks, whatever. Toned down the green color on the tank stat bars, not as radioactive now. They used to be a really lime green. It was a little blinding. Now it's kind of a bland olive color. It's a lot easier on the eyes, especially for a guy like me. The consumables submenu has been renamed to supplies. This makes better sense than saying consumables. Maybe more people will go into supplies and switch out their 33 high explosive rounds. That seem to regularly come with new tanks. So moving on from there, some gameplay changes. Spawn point changes for balance, province, standard and encounter, Karelia encounter mode, Redshire encounter mode, Westfield assault and encounter, Highway encounter, Live Oaks encounter, Pacific Island, I'm going to assume that means all modes, capture point changes for balance, Pacific Island. There were also updates to tread and fire effects. Now this is one that apparently a lot of people like myself requested. Turn off HUD now turns off all of the HUD. So before you would still see the tank icons at the top of your screen, but you wouldn't see anything else. But now it actually turns everything off and all you see is the tank and your surroundings that you're playing. So that should be really nice. It'll be even better for if and when we get third-person replay mode available, because then you could make some really cool movies. Hint, hint. Hint, hint, Wargaming. I'm just kidding. Anyways, community request, improved, less flashy attention to cell animation, map pings. The map pinging, while it was way more noticeable since update 1.8, it was also annoying. So it's a lot more different now. There's a much smaller pulse on the map if you have the map open, but there's still a very noticeable exclamation point that appears off of the circle, off to the edge of your compass if you have the little compass mini-map in your bottom right instead of the full mini-map activated. Teammate hits now give feedback as a ricochet instead of nothing. This does not count toward any global stat except shots fired. So essentially your teammate's tank icon will flash black for a second, indicating that you supposedly bounced off of them, rather than nothing happening. So you now know when you've hit a teammate, which can be sometimes difficult to keep track of without some kind of indication. New topographical mini-maps added to match the terrain and object changes in the following maps: Mines, Wide Park, Arctic Region, and Erlenberg. The bounce text changed to an icon. Got rid of that, thank goodness. Now, the bounce text wasn't so much an issue in and of itself. It was a little bit annoying as it kind of blocked the screen a little bit, but even more irritating was a lot of people kept saying, "Man, there's so many more bounces now." No, you're just noticing them a lot easier than before. So now it's just a little icon. Fixed an issue where the bounce effects would trigger although component damage is done. Now that was another thing that was annoying, where you shoot somebody in the side to track them and it still says you bounced, but the indication shows up saying that you did in fact do track damage, leaving dumb white kids like myself very confused. So apparently that got fixed, which is good. Audio, updated pitch randomization for better sounding sound effects. Sounds good enough. T-23 gunfire sounds volume reduced. I haven't played my T-23 in forever. Okay, so here's some actual vehicle changes. Art fixes for the following tanks. Blah 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 blah. Fixed an error in one German urban camouflage. So it's a fairly long list of tanks. Like I said, they don't do anything performance-wise. Nothing was changed on them. I'm figuring that they merely fixed a couple things to avoid 3D model clipping or animation clipping or anything of that sort. That's all that is going on there. There's no nerfs going on. There's no buffs going on. So just get those dumb thoughts out of your head before you even think about it. Moving on from those, more HUD changes. The camera rain, quote unquote, will no longer turn off when leaving a zoomed camera. Fixed a rare issue of allied tank icons not fading to gray if destroyed before they've reconnected to the match. I've seen that before. Wasn't a huge deal, but I guess that would be considered a bug from a developer standpoint. Autoloader shell indicator will now successfully change colors when low. I noticed it did it anyways, but I guess there was some issue with it, so it's been fixed. When playing in 4:3 aspect ratio, the overview map will no longer be overlapping other elements. Personally, I never experienced or knew about this problem, as I have bought a widescreen TV since about 2012, so what have you. Resolved an issue with the minimap being cut off when playing in 4:3 aspect ratio, so this is good for those of you that still use tube TVs. Hey, I used to for a very long time, since about 2006 when I got my first Xbox. I used a tube TV, so there's nothing wrong with that. Artillery impact dots now respects colorblind mode. Community request, minimap art size and size improvements. I'm not sure specifically, as I use the compass and not the full minimap in the bottom right corner. I actually like the close quarters detail that the little compass minimap gives, as well as its orientation is really nice too, because the compass turns with the tank and the turret. Basically, north on the, or well, up on the compass is always the direction I'm facing. And besides, I pretty much open the map every 30 seconds or less anyways, even when in a firefight, so it's never been a problem for me. Fixed an issue where some HUD text will still be present when turning the HUD off. Seen that before, a bit annoying. Removed the oil splat from behind the tutorial text. Removed text cues from HUD on ricochets and replaced with an icon. Removed text cues from HUD on ammo rack explosion, kept the icon. Removed text cues from HUD on fire start, kept icon. Community request. Faded the reload timer out whenever it's constant. It will fade in and change if the reload number is changed due to crew injury or component damage. So what this means is instead of a constant reload timer on the left side of your reticule, if you haven't fired in a while and you have a shell loaded, instead of it saying 7.85 seconds for, 3 minutes while you're flanking or something, it will fade out eventually after a few seconds. Slightly smaller text size for kill feed and tank nameplates. Slight performance increase from removed transparent elements in the HUD. Slight performance increase from removing anti-aliasing in the minimap. Fixed a rare case where arty shot travel time would round incorrectly. So that's pretty much all the HUD changes there, nothing major. User interface in the log tab, the legends should now properly say view battle instead of last battle. The A button will now only show up for battles in the log tab if they are accessible. Fixed the penetration value for some Japanese guns that showed too many decimal places. Resolved a rare case when researching tanks that would show packages from the previous tank in the wrong package menu. Never experienced that, so I'm not exactly sure what the problem was. Equipment descriptions with 2 or more lines should now show the full description. That pesky orange square in the battle queue has been eliminated. Okay. Sometimes lines between packages and tanks would disappear after changing safe zones. This has been resolved. Implemented a fix for store bundles losing art when tabbing away sometimes. Fixed a rare case of a controls lock when purchasing a tank right as a player joins the platoon. I can see how that would be annoying. Added ability to quickly quit from the minigame title screen by pressing B. Improvements to the log tab recording transactions. Ops tab UI fixes for overlaps and truncations. Fixed a rare case where selling tanks would show the wrong text in the stats area. First win multiplier is now hidden when a tank is not ready for battle, downloading or in battle. So essentially, if you have a tank in a game, or if it's just not available, the little ×2 multiplier won't show up. Not a huge deal. Little touch-ups here and there, right? Fixed to dim scroll arrows in the garage rail when the filter modifier is up. Fixed to stat bars that would show the incorrect tank stats when researching or assigning crews to a newly acquired tank. Main submenu and customization submenu reels now properly dim unselected items. Corrections made to premium tank purchase celebration. Infinity symbol for bonus op created to be a golden check mark. Step achievements are now displaying the class or level that they are currently at in the stats tab. Store bundles with triple-digit discounts are no longer truncated. Fixed issue where text skill notification shows briefly when selecting a tank from the tech tree. Tier numbers on the battle queue screen are aligned properly with the tanks of that tier. So like I said, lots of little UA things in the garage here. No nerfs to tanks yet. But we might be getting there. We might not be. Who knows? It's a conspiracy. Map changes, art and object fixes for the following maps: Komaran, Murovanka, Wide Park, Engsk, Arctic Region, Steeps, Highway, Abbey, and South Coast. At the community's request, the crashed German aircraft around Pacific Island has been replaced with an American aircraft for the sake of historical accuracy. Crew changes, various crew UI improvements to text and placement. New crew skill notification will now always show in the first crew skill slot so that it can be seen if a crew has 10 plus skills. I guess that's an interesting change. Helpful. Tier of assigned tank now shows on crews. Fixed crew XP bar on the crew training screen to match the newer look. Gameplay changes with the crew. Self-inflicted splash damage will no longer count as team damage. Sorry guys, it's late and I'm Cat's got my tongue now. Audio. Ribbon sound effects will now properly mute when hide ribbons is checked in the options menu. So this only really changes for people like me who don't have those stupid ribbons on because I think they're cheap as fuck anyways. So now instead of me still being able to cheat with the ribbons off and listen for a ribbon sound, I won't hear a sound whatsoever. I may reconsider turning ribbons back on, but frankly, they just block part of the screen. They're freaking annoying, I find. That little top right portion of the screen, I'd rather have it visible if there's some kind of an icon there that I need to be paying attention to. Fix for an issue where fire sound effects could stack too much. Fixed missing navigation audio cues after pressing X to exchange gold. Fair enough. And lastly, we have some localization changes. This is almost strictly language changes and whatnot. Changed the description for the Call for Vengeance skill. Enables the radio operator that survived the destruction of their vehicle to report enemy positions for another 2 seconds. If no radio operator exists, the commander must survive for this skill to take effect. Changed encounter modes, enemy base captured to base captured. Several missing characters and truncation fixes for ESMX and PTBR. I was looking at that for a second, wondering what the heck that meant, but it means Spanish in Mexico and Portuguese in Brazil. I just realized that. Yog Tiger turret module string fix for Batchat 155-58, corrected consumables and equipment strings, string fixes for some urban camos, fix in the launcher for Russian that was showing Polish instead. Expert medals now show the correct description. Fixed a truncation issue in the crew loading screen. Confirmation strings for destruction of temporary camos are now consistent. String fixes in basic training. And that is it for the patch notes. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, nothing happened here. Your tank didn't get nerfed. Somebody else's tank didn't get buffed. There's no weird behind the scenes goings on with the matchmaking all of a sudden. So if you simply want to complain about crap because an update came out and something got changed, do shut up. Nothing happened. It was pretty much all UI and visual changes, as well as a lot of bug fixes. That is all it was. If you don't believe me, you can go check out the patch notes, like I said. Go to Tanks Xbox 360 Edition.com, go to the forums. They're right there in the general discussion. If you read them and still don't believe me, why are you playing this game? Anyways, thanks for sticking around. That is the patch notes for update 1.9. Enjoy the rest of this seal clubbing gameplay here with my super lol tractor, and I will see you again shortly. Have a good night, guys. Mobius Y signing off.